Hey everyone, Dr. James Smith here, licensed professional counselor, husband, father, and friend of Trooper, an old, wise, and slightly arthritic golden retriever. A few weeks ago, I posted a video called Healing the Pathological Critic. I'm going to put the link to that video in the information below if you want to check that out. In that video, I made reference to the idea of the self as a three-legged stool, and I want to return to that idea and flesh it out a little more. Again, if my videos are helpful to you, they might be helpful to someone else, so please feel free to subscribe, like, and share them. Without further ado, let's talk about understanding the self. So as I said in my previous video, when we use words that include the concept of self, what the heck are we even talking about, right? I want to know myself. I want to understand myself. I want to self-actualize. I want to transcend myself. Or in mindfulness, sometimes we'll talk about the relationship of the self and the not self, but what does that even mean? What is the self? The self is a really difficult concept to define because there is who I am in reality and there is how I perceive myself. And these are not always aligned. I can easily misperceive who I am. One of the things that I experience with many people I work with in therapy is that they don't really know who they are. They have a perception of themselves that's distorted. And this is a big reason why they experience anxiety, depression, relationship disruption, the dysfunction that they experience in their lives. It's because they don't see themselves accurately, and so they cannot function effectively in the world. What I want to do in this video is provide a framework in which we can be intentional about aligning how I see myself with who I actually am. And to do that, I want to propose to you that we should consider that the self is a three-legged stool. These three columns hold up my sense of my own identity. And the first leg is self-worth or self-esteem. The second leg is self-efficacy. And the third leg is self-concept. I want to go through each of these individually and provide some ideas on how we can be more intentional about knowing ourselves and authentically being ourselves. So the first leg of the three-legged stool, the first pillar holding up my identity, is self-worth. This is where we consider what value I have as a human being. What is my worth? This is not what values I have, but my value worth as a person. When I present this idea in a live context, like doing presentations, those kinds of things, I will often ask the audience, what makes a human being valuable? I get all kinds of answers. Well, people will say, what we do makes us valuable. So I respond to them. So if Johnny is not as capable of doing something as Joey, is Johnny less valuable as a human being? Suddenly, that doesn't feel like the right answer. Another person will respond, well, what we contribute to society. So I'll respond, so if Mary is not capable of contributing as much to society as Jane, is Mary less valuable than Jane as a human being? And that doesn't feel like the right answer either, and for good reason. These kinds of answers, when carried out logically, leave us with an uncomfortable feeling, and they should. They should make us uncomfortable, because these types of answers are the foundation of every human atrocity that has ever been perpetrated in the history of humanity. You see, any response that bases our value as a human being on anything other than that we are valuable because we are alive, because we exist, makes the human person a commodity, something that can be bought, sold, or destroyed based on an economic formula. It is a short step to go from saying one person is more valuable than another person to saying one group of people is more valuable than another group of people. For the question, what makes a human being valuable? There is only one answer that does not lead us to atrocity, and that is that the human person is valuable because the human person exists. That's it. Bottom line. No exceptions. You are valuable because you exist. That's what makes you valuable. You came into being. What is your value? What is your value? Well, for this, we need to go a little further, right? So the first thing we need to start intentionally believing about ourselves is that our value is inherent. We have it because we exist. It is inherent. Well, what is it? How valuable are we? Right? So, okay, I'm valuable because I exist, but that doesn't really tell me how valuable I am. It just tells me that I have value because I exist. My value is inherent to me. But how valuable am I? Thich Nhat Hanh, the Buddhist monk and mindfulness psychologist who helped bring mindfulness into Western therapy, was asked a question at a conference he was giving. How do I begin to love myself? His response was that we start to take care of ourselves. He stated, and I'm paraphrasing, that we take care of what we value, right? I take care of my Jeep Wrangler because I love my Jeep Wrangler. I value my Jeep Wrangler. I take care of my family because I value my family. I take care of my golden retriever because I value my golden retriever, right? We take care of the things that we value. And we value these things because they're rare. Hmm. Let's think about that for a moment. Let's say a baseball player has an amazing rookie year in the major leagues. And so the baseball card manufacturers make 10,000 baseball cards of this rookie with his rookie year stats on them. And then let's say that baseball player goes on to have an amazing career, right? He becomes one of the greatest of all time, ends up in the Hall of Fame, becomes a legend in the game. And decades later, for this, that, and the other reason, some of them get thrown out, they get destroyed, they get things spilled on them, right? Of those 10,000 baseball cards, only 10 are left in existence. This baseball player had rare talent. And now his baseball cards themselves, his rookie year baseball cards, are rare. There's only 10 rookie cards left in the world. Everything about them is rare, and their value goes through the roof, and people will seal them, hermetically seal them, so that they won't decay, right? The people start taking care of them, right? They get them laminated or they seal them in something, right? So that they don't decay. And how much more rare if one of those rookie year baseball cards has the autograph of the player, right? The rarity increases the value. It makes it valuable. So now, let's think about this. You are the only one of you in the entire history of the universe that will ever exist. From the beginning of the universe until you were conceived, there has never been a being exactly like you. And when you are gone from this plane of existence, whatever you believe happens in that transition that we call death, there will never again exist a being exactly like you. Even if they clone you and create a genetically identical version, that clone will not be like you. That clone does not have your lived experiences, your memories, your dispositions, your knowledge, or your personality. You are completely unique. You are infinitely unique. And that makes your value infinite. Your value that is yours inherently because you exist is immeasurable, infinite. And because your value is inherent, you have it because you exist, and infinite, immeasurable, it is also absolute. It cannot be changed. There was never a point where you were more valuable than you are right now, sitting here watching this video, or whatever it is you're doing in the moment. You're watching this video. You have never been more valuable than you are right now, and you will never be less valuable. No matter what circumstances may happen, no matter what you do, you are inherently, infinitely, and absolutely valuable. That doesn't change. Your value is inherent, infinite, and absolute. If we try to define human value in any other way, then the value of the human person becomes a matter of barter, a matter of trade, which means a human being becomes something that can be bartered or traded or disposed of when someone else decides a person or a group of people are no longer valuable. The first leg of the three-legged stool of the self, the first pillar of understanding who I really am, is to understand that my value is inherent, infinite, and absolute. And if I see myself in any other way than that, then my sense of my worth is skewed, it's distorted, it's misaligned. We don't see ourselves clearly. If we don't believe that our value is inherent, infinite, and absolute, we don't know ourselves accurately. So how come people don't recognize their own value? The reason I believe people are taught that they don't have value is because there's a confusion, and this is in our culture. This is rampant in our culture. It's everywhere in our culture. The reason is because there's a confusion between the first leg of the stool, the first pillar of the self, self-worth, and the second leg of the stool, upon which my understanding of myself rests. That is self-efficacy. And self-efficacy is, to put it simply, what I can do. It's what I can do. We live in a culture that confuses self-worth and self-efficacy. And you can hear that in the answers that I get when I ask people. I'll ask them, what makes a person valuable? What makes a human being valuable? And people answer that question by saying, well, it's what they can do, or it's what they have accomplished, or it's what they contribute. These are all answers that speak to self-efficacy. Self-efficacy is what I can do. Self-efficacy is what I've accomplished. Self-efficacy is what I can contribute. But what I can do has nothing to do with my value as a human being. That just stands to reason. What I do is not connected to my value as a human being, what I do and what I can't do. So, for example, if my car broke down on the side of the road, the extent of my self-efficacy, what I can do, would be to call a tow truck. I mean, I have the capability of opening the hood and looking at the engine, but honestly, that would be a waste of time because I'd have no idea what I would be looking at. Am I worthless as a human being just because I can't fix my car if it breaks down? You see, unlike my value, my worth, which is inherent, infinite, and absolute, my self-efficacy can go up and down depending on a lot of factors. Normally, I can push mow my grass. I have high self-efficacy that I can mow my yard under normal conditions. It means when I say that I have high self-efficacy, it means that I strongly believe that I can do something, right? That's just what it means. So I have high self-efficacy that under normal circumstances I can cut my grass. Well, what if I broke my leg? I would not be able to mow my grass with my push mower under those conditions. My self-efficacy, what I can do, would be lower. Does that mean I have less value as a human being? Well, that's ridiculous to even suggest, but we do it all the time. We connect our value as a person with what we can do or what we can't do. Too many people confuse self-efficacy and self-worth. They think that just because they can't do something, that makes them have less worth, or worse, they think it makes them worthless. We're going to be better at some things in life than other things. That's the nature of it. That's the nature of it. Seeing what I can do and what I can't do honestly and being upfront about that actually positions me in a way that my self-efficacy can grow. If my self-efficacy is distorted to either side of the spectrum, I'm in trouble. If my self-efficacy is so high that I believe that I'm all powerful and that I can do anything, then I put myself and the people around me at a huge disadvantage. We all know those people who walk into a situation and think they know everything already. Then everyone else is left cleaning up after this person's mistakes. And of course, we all know people who think they can't do anything. These folks leave others holding the bag for things they themselves were responsible. They're dependent on others because they believe they're incapable of doing even small things for themselves. The truth is in the middle. There are things that I can do, and I can do them very well. There are things I can do, and I know I can't do them well. And there are things that I can't do. That's the truth of it. And if I want my sense of self to be accurate, I need to be honest about the difference. And the last pillar of understanding myself is self-concept. When someone asks the question, "Who are you?" or we ask ourselves, "Who am I?" we only answer that question really in two ways. The first way is by naming qualities or characteristics that I want to show in the world. And the second way is by naming relationship roles by which I identify myself. And I want to look at these two things separately. So first, let's look at the qualities or characteristics that I say I hold or that I say I am. For example, I may say that I'm a patient person, but how do I know that? Well, the first thing I need to do is to figure out what I mean when I use the word patient to describe myself. What does that word mean to me? So, for example, if I'm behind another car at a red light and the light turns green and the person in front of me doesn't move, how long do I need to sit there without honking my horn in order to be considered patient? 3 seconds? 5 seconds? If I say I'm patient, do I honk my horn at all, or do I just sit there and wait? And while I'm sitting there and waiting, what am I doing? Am I grabbing the wheel and cussing this guy out and right? God, why don't they move? Right? I wish I weren't so patient. I'd be honking the horn right now, right? Or do I sit there and try to be joyful, try to be kind in my thoughts and calm in my demeanor? What's the threshold that I have to meet in order to consider myself patient? If I say that I'm a kind or compassionate person and I pass a homeless person without giving the homeless person money, have I met the standard of kindness or compassion? I'm not saying that we need to give every homeless person that we see money. I'm saying we need to think about these things and be intentional about them. In this circumstance, what meets that threshold? How do I define that term as a general rule of life to live by, right? Kindness, compassion. Maybe it's not compassionate to give a person on the street money. I don't know. But have I thought about it? I can't tell you what to do in that circumstance. But if we use these words to describe ourselves, it might be good if we are intentional about what they mean so that we know how to act. What about if I say I'm intelligent? What does that mean? I know that I can't do calculus. Does that mean I'm not intelligent? As I said before, I don't know how to fix a car like my good friend who's a mechanic. I also don't know how to do pottery. All of these are skills that are born out of knowledge and experience that people have attained through study and work. I have other knowledge besides these things. But since I don't know these things, can I truly say I'm intelligent? Or am I just deluding myself because I have a PhD in a very specific field? The bottom line is we use these terms to describe ourselves, but how often do we think about what they mean? When we use these terms, we are saying we meet a threshold that qualifies us as examples of this quality. I've met a threshold that I can now say I am a patient person. I've met the threshold. I am a kind, compassionate person. I've met the threshold. I am an intelligent person. I've met a certain threshold. What's the threshold? Who defines that? Where did that definition come from? When we use these terms, we're saying we've met that threshold. There's nothing wrong with that. But what do we mean by it? What is it? Who decided it? The same ideas are true when I use relationship roles to define who I am. I'm a husband. I said that at the beginning of this video, but what does it mean to be a husband? How do I know if I'm being a good husband? What's the threshold? Who defined that term? I'm a father. What does that word mean? What's the threshold that makes me a father? Is being a father nothing more than impregnating a woman so that I have genetic linked progeny running around the world somewhere? Or maybe to me, and it is for me, it's not a maybe, being a father is something more than that. I'm a friend. But again, what does that mean? What does it mean to be someone's friend? If you use this word to describe yourself in terms of a relationship with someone, what expectations does that create for your behavior? What does a good friend do? The idea behind this is that we use these words, whether we're talking about the qualities, the characteristics, or we're talking about the relationship roles. We use these words, right, to talk about who we are, but have we thought about what they mean? Am I a husband by accident, right? Do I just happen to have the role of a father? Am I unintentional about my friendships? And there's the key. Our self-concept is how we think about ourselves in terms of the qualities or characteristics and relationship roles that we have in our lives. Do we know what those are, and are we living them out intentionally? And one more thought about self-concept. Not only does defining both the qualities, characteristics, and the relationship roles provide me expectations so that I kind of have a standard to live by, but they also include boundaries. I am my wife's husband. That means I have boundaries with other people. I don't share with my friends all of the same things I share with my wife. As a husband, I have boundaries that are unique to that relationship. I don't share with my children the same things I share with my wife. I don't treat other people's children the same way that I treat my own. There are boundaries. I don't provide therapy to my friends. I have clients for whom I serve in the relationship role as a therapist, and my clients are not my friends. They're different relationship roles, different boundaries. And the qualities that I want to demonstrate also have boundaries. If I want to be patient, that means I'm going to get really good at waiting and not lash out at people who maybe get in my way. It is a boundary around my behavior. If I say I am kind, I'm not going to gossip about people. That's not kind. To spread rumors and gossip, even if I know for a fact that something's true, I'm not going to tell somebody who has no right to know. It's unkind to do that. Our self-concept provides boundaries around how I'm going to interact with others. I'm not going to flirt with a woman who is not my wife. That's a boundary. When I have these qualities and characteristics and relationship roles well defined, I have a better sense of how to act in a given situation because I have expectations of my own behavior and I have boundaries in how I interact with others. So here's the bottom line. The self is the answer to the question, who am I? Who am I? I am a person who has inherent, infinite, and absolute value in the universe. And so are you. I do not accept any other estimation of human worth. If my worth as an individual and your worth as an individual are not inherent, infinite, and absolute, we will end in atrocity. I want to say that just one more time. If my worth as an individual and your worth as an individual are not inherent, infinite, and absolute, we will end in atrocity. Who am I? I am a person who can do some things and can't do others, and that's okay. And you know what else is okay? Making mistakes. Because the only way I'm going to improve what I can do is by learning, and making mistakes is a part of learning. As a matter of fact, making mistakes is the norm, not the exception. There is nothing that you or I have ever learned to do except by making mistakes at it. If I'm not making mistakes, I'm not learning to do new things. That means I'm stagnant. I'm stuck where I'm at. Go out, learn new things, and screw them all up as you learn it. And then, when you can do it without making a mistake, pat yourself on the back. You've improved your self-efficacy. Who am I? I'm a person who knows what it means for me to be patient, kind, compassionate, intelligent, determined, generous, joyful. I'm a husband, a father, a friend, a therapist, and the caretaker of an old and slightly arthritic golden retriever. I have defined these roles for me, just for me, not for anyone else. I know what they mean for me, and I do my best to intentionally live up to the standards and within the boundaries these things provide for me. Who am I? I'm Dr. Jamie Smith, and I hope you have enjoyed this video. I want to challenge you, as we close, I want to challenge you to do three things. First, believe in your value. You are inherently, infinitely, and absolutely valuable. Start believing in it. First challenge. Second challenge, stop confusing your efficacy with your value. Your efficacy is what you can do and what you can't do. Just because you can't do something doesn't mean you're worthless. Get comfortable in what you can do and don't be afraid to learn new things. Lastly, take a piece of blank paper and on one side write the words characteristics and qualities, and on the other side write the words relationship roles. Then on each side list them. Just list them first. After you've listed the qualities or characteristics that you want to manifest in your life, on the one side, define them in practical terms. And you flip it over and you list the relationship roles that are important to you, define them in practical terms. How will you know you are successful in being? How will you know you're successful in being these qualities, these characteristics, and intentionally being these relationship roles that you say you define yourself by? That's my challenge to you. I'll put these challenges in the description for the video so you can go back and find them easily. If this video has been helpful or meaningful to you, please like and share it for others. You can also hit the subscribe button to make sure you don't miss future videos. Be well, eat yogurt, or whatever it is you do for self-care. I wish you peace, harmony, and all good things. Be well.